Rita Kempley of the Washington Post called this movie a randomly raggedly funny look at the personal cost of being one with the hustling, glamorous crowd. Amazon.com user Willow Ariel griped, "I was sorely disappointed by this movie and only chortled aloud 2 times. My boyfriend fell asleep about 20 minutes in." And Peter Travers of Rolling Stone said, "Funny? Guess again." On this episode of Ruined Childhoods, we decide the fate of quick change.
Sequel. Reboot. Which one will it be? It's the Ruined Childhoods podcast.
Greetings, Starfighters, friends. Hey, John, how goes it?
Hey, Dan. It is smoky. It is crazy. Here in Portland, the sky has been orange. We are recording this on September 10th. And if anybody hasn't been paying attention, the West Coast is on fire. Are you getting much up there?
It is about to get bad. So I know the other night, it was really windy the other day in Seattle, and that night it was really, really like thick in the air.
Yeah.
And then it kind of felt like it was dissipating, but the fires in Eastern Washington are still raging. So I was informed that it is about to get pretty bad up here, as it has been further south down the coast throughout Oregon and of course California.
Oh, yeah. I mean, at least we are all in the practice of wearing masks if we are going outside. So there's that. We certainly have our air purifiers turned up on their highest settings. And it's interesting because, so many people have been pointing out how outside looks like, Mad Max Fury Road or the new Dune trailer that is out there. Dan, have you seen the new Dune trailer?
I have seen the new Dune trailer, and
Were you a fan of the original, but the first Dune movie?
A fan of, no, I would say I'm a fan of David Lynch, and there are things about it.
And Kyle MacLachlan, let's be real.
Yeah. Oh, of course. Well, I'm a fan of Sting,
Yeah.
So maybe it's because I never read the book. Something never clicked with me. It's one of those movies that I really want to like more than I do. I have very distinct memories of it, and like there are images of it that really stand out. I watched it a few years ago.
It's like one of those movies where I don't know if it's anybody's like favorite movie, but it certainly like has its place as like, hey, this is a really interesting effort. And so like the fact that there's this remake coming out or new adaptation that's coming out is kind of like, I don't think that anybody's up in arms about, about it.
No, well, Denis Villeneuve has, in terms of like just visual feasts, like, I feel like there's been a big fuss about the movie theaters opening up so people can see Tenet on a big screen. And I'm like, Tenet, I could watch it at home. I think I'd be fine. But Dune, I want to see that on the biggest screen possible. That looks so immersive.
Right. And I mean,
and all of his films are.
Absolutely. I loved Blade Runner 2049. I thought it was awesome.
Love that. Arrival.
Arrival is just incredible. One of my favorite movies of the past 20 years, maybe.
Yeah. And I love that he seems to enjoy working with Dave Bautista.
I noticed, because I saw him in the trailer. I saw that he was in it, and I was like, and I was thinking, like, he was in Blade Runner 2049, and it's like, clearly they have a good working relationship, or else, when I see actors working with the same directors, it just tells you something about their experiences together. Just kind of like David Lynch and Kyle MacLachlan.
Exactly. Yeah. David Lynch, Kyle MacLachlan, David Lynch, Laura Dern.
Right.
Like, the holy trilogy there. Yeah. So, and I also just get, when I see guys who I liked as pro wrestlers make it big in Hollywood, it makes me feel a little, kind of outside the realm of just action movies.
Right. I mean, it's definitely a natural progression for people in that wing of the entertainment industry. And it is kind of cool to see it, with the exception of like when it's played up that they are just like wrestlers being in the movie. I think, and I don't know, like Hulk Hogan. Yeah. But it's like Suburban Commando and even like Rocky 3. It's like, it's not like they were playing up him being. Rocky 3 playing up being a wrestler for sure, but.
He wasn't, but he doesn't do anything outside of pretty much just being Hulk Hogan in this, under these circumstances.
In Blade Runner 2049, Dave Bautista is wearing like little tiny glasses and he's like a shut-in. He's like a real character.
He's got this whole story, and even in like Guardians of the Galaxy, he's got this humanity to him that even though he is as a person, and I've seen him in person, not up close, but this is a big guy. This is definitely a larger than average person. And it makes it all the more effective when you see him, emotional, or when you see him doing, the bits in Guardians of the Galaxy that are so funny that,
right.
Like, I think he really brings so much to those movies, but I digress.
Yeah. No, but the Dune trailer looks pretty cool. It's got a ton of people in it who I really, really like. So how could it be that bad?
The all-stars, Timothée Chalamet, Oscar Isaac.
Zendaya
is in it. Josh Brolin.
Mm-hmm. Oscar Isaac's beard is in it.
Oscar Isaac's beard. Yeah, Oscar Isaac looking regal.
Isn't he like a king of a planet?
He is the king. Well, yes, he is. Yeah. But
so he better look regal.
You could be a king and not look regal.
This is true.
Richard III.
Sure. Yeah.
Why not? Yeah.
So there's a few other.
Do you have any more things?
Well, I just want to go over a few things that I read in reboot News World. This is just a real quick one, but allegedly Michelle Rodriguez said that the next Fast and the Furious movie is going to take them into outer space.
John, as soon as you said next Fast and the Furious, I was just like outer space in my head.
Yeah. I was like, I need to do nothing more than just read the headline. Basically, it was on Slash Film.
It's the Moonraker of the franchise.
Yeah, right. It's like, what else do they do? They've done everything else. And then I also saw
but they still have a movie that hasn't come out yet. They've got the one where John Cena plays Vin Diesel's evil brother.
Oh, right. I forgot about that.
Fast 9.
Oh, wait. Then that's the same one, because she says that Fast and the Furious 9 goes into space. So I guess there's an element to it that is interstellar.
So excited.
The only other thing that I saw that caught my eye is I didn't realize they were doing. Did you know they're doing a RoboCop prequel series that's all about the Dick Jones character, the creator of ED 209, Ed 209?
No, is it going to be like the RoboCop version of like Succession, where it's like Dick Jones rises through the ranks at OCP or something?
I don't know. The Slash Film article was likening it to kind of how Better Call Saul focuses. It's like a Breaking Bad spin-off that doesn't involve Walter. So
right.
I don't know. I feel like this is the type of thing that we would come up with, where it's like, what about a prequel about this guy? What a fascinating character he must be.
Yeah, but I would definitely go with the Clarence Boddicker character.
Yes, I know, who knows? Maybe he's involved.
Like, I want to know, I want to see like little Clarence Boddicker against like bitches leave. And it's my favorite line in that movie.
Yeah, I mean, it's too bad that we have to do some one more things, because what a perfect segue for Kurtwood Smith.
Oh, seriously. Yes. Very excited to see him pop up in Quick Change. Before we get rolling, I've been neglectful in my promotion. So,
sorry, we just started going.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. And I meant to mention this over the last couple of episodes. But first of all, want to shout out Big Kev's Geek Stuff, who recently celebrated their 600th episode.
Wow.
I was there in the beginning, because this was back in the days when I had an apartment with Big Kev of Big Kev's Geek Stuff.
Yeah.
And Matt lived there briefly while I lived there. And they started doing the podcast and invited me on just because like we would hang out and I would get angry and I would rant about some ridiculous thing and pop culture. And they had me do that on the podcast a couple of times. And then it kind of just went beyond that. But
sure.
I did revive the character for the 600th episode.
Oh, really? That's great.
But just wanted to congratulate them on that. And also,
no kidding.
Jake Asal and the Lighter Side podcast.
Mm-hmm. This is about your other life, your day life.
I did, aside from the part at the end when I promoted Ruined Childhoods.
Yeah, that's us.
It was all about teaching in the age of COVID. And
right.
This was before we started the school year. We started the school year last week. So, but this was recorded a few weeks ago. But one of the teachers that's interviewed had already started her school year remotely. And it's an interesting conversation. Like I definitely learned a lot from talking to some other colleagues. Mm-hmm. So if you are also interested in hearing about education, and
there's also need that Dan voice in your ears.
If you're like, I like hearing Dan talk about things. I am very disciplined in my ranting / dangenting. So, as I will attempt to be this evening.
Right.
As we talk about Quick Change.
Yeah. But first. One more thing. Did you have any one more things for the party?
I feel like I did when, like, unfortunately, my one more things pop into my head at the worst times. Mm-hmm. Like I'm just like, running over to the grocery store or something and don't even have my phone or whatever. And I feel like there was something that came up for me that I don't know if we discussed. Did you have anything you want to add about the party?
Oh, I mean, this is something that I'd like to add that isn't anything that's like we should have talked about this. I forgot to talk about this, but I in my daytime life where I work at the Portland Art Museum, and I'm not going to name names or anything like that, but it's really cool the equity and inclusion work that we're doing, and we have different there's a people of color affinity group, for people to discuss the ways in which, race has come into their lives. And we also have a white learning space for people who are white who can to talk about the things that have, come up since the last meeting about, race issues, of which of course we have plenty. And being in Portland, we certainly have a lot to talk about, with all the protests that are always going on. And I was in the white affinity space meeting the other day, and, everybody just kind of talks about different, it doesn't have to do with the work that we're doing or anything. It could be something small, how we talk about race and things like that with our kids, stuff like that. And I mentioned our episode about the party and how it was really enlightening to kind of look at things from other perspectives, especially since that episode, it's satire that when you really watch it and pay attention to it, it's a very meta commentary about what it's doing in the movie about race. At least that's how I was interpreting it. And, you know, just hearing some of the feedback that we've been getting, it's interesting to hear other people's experiences with race or brown face, which the party deals with heavily. Peter Sellers is in brown face, and also inspired the Hank Azaria voice for Apu. So it's like 2 levels of brown face deep. So yeah, all I wanted to say is that it was just really cool to be able to talk about that, and just kind of the experience we were having, because we have these agreements that we all have at work that we try to bring into our lives outside of work. And these are, I mean, you'll see them pop up if you like Google like 5 agreements, like equity agreements or something like that. They are: stay engaged, speak your truth responsibly, listen to understand, which is one that I always am reminding myself of, be willing to do things differently and experience discomfort, which is like, it is okay. It's actually important that you feel uncomfortable, because that's the only way that we learn. And accept and expect non-closure, which is also important, because you can't have a conversation and fix racism and change somebody's opinion or have your opinion completely changed in just one conversation. And the final one is confidentiality. So, you know, just making sure that everybody's views are, you know, that they share are kept within the group. So it's cool, and I encourage everybody listening to consider those agreements for yourselves. And you know, we didn't get any negative feedback, you know, and I just, as we talk about things, because this is a podcast about like 2 guys goofing about movies on its base, but we are people who are living in the current time and place where we are, and it's unavoidable to bring things up, especially when we're talking about movies that really lead you to that discussion.
Yeah, John, that's exactly what I was just thinking, and wanted to just say it's great to hear you, and I feel like a lot of other people now are talking about having discussions in that space with those 5 agreements, which is those are 5 agreements that we use in restorative justice practices in the educational setting. When we have like a restorative justice circle, it is like you stay engaged, you show you're engaged, speak your truth, you know, everything that you just said. And the discomfort is really the most important thing, because when we're discussing things like racism and inequity, we should not be comfortable with that. We should be uncomfortable with that. And especially when we're in a place where we at least might feel somewhat complicit in that, or at least like, you know, on the side that benefits from it. Right. It's kind of, it's especially important. We're seeing who is not feeling discomfort in that. So
right, exactly.
Yeah, and I don't want to be counted among their numbers.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's all I wanted to say about the party, unless you thought of something else.
I think I recalled my thought, or at least I had another thought, and I don't remember if I mentioned this in the episode, but just thinking about the title, because I was also thinking about the title of Quick Change, and I was thinking about meanings and thinking also about how the party begins and how everybody is separated.
Well,
and
how do you mean the movie The Party, or how the actual party in The Party begins? Because I don't think that we even talked about how the actual movie begins with the movie set.
We talked about it briefly. Oh, no, I mean, like, the actual party is very, it's not socially distanced, but there's just like that distance, whereas by the end, it really is a party. So it goes from being parties, right? Like separate parties, like the cowboy and the girl he's with, and the producer, the Senate. Yeah. And then it's just everybody all in the pool with the bubbles all together, and the Harishi or the Harundi, the Peter Sellers character talking to the daughter of the senator, the producer, whoever owns the house.
That's the daughter of the studio head.
The studio head. Okay, so and just like the perspectives, like you're talking about. I love the title because we think of separate parties.
Mm-hmm.
And this really shows what happens when separate parties are almost forced to let down their guard
mm-hmm.
and end up metaphorically all in the pool together.
Right.
And it reminds me, I'm sorry if I'm repeating things that I already said, but it reminds me of the movie Bulworth, Warren Beatty, when he's talking about race issues, and he was just like,
everybody just got to keep fucking everybody till they're all the same color.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have a race problem anymore because everyone would be all everything. And, it reminded me a bit of that. So
yeah,
that's one more thing.
Okay. Well, then let's talk a little bit about Quick Change. Y'all saw it as the title of this episode. Dan mentioned it a second ago. We're talking about the 1990 Bill Murray starring and co-directed and produced.
I believe he co-wrote as well.
I
No.
don't know if he co-wrote it.
No.
It is
based on the book by Jay Cronley.
That's right. I believe it's actually technically the second, maybe the first of two adaptations of that book. But I not like the other one is called Quick Change. I think it's just another movie that was adapted from that book story-wise. So I'm going to go through a little synopsis. This one's very brief. You ready?
Go for it.
Led by Grimm, the charming mastermind behind a bank robbery netting a cool mill, girlfriend Phyllis and best bud Loomis attempt to escape New York with their booty, but their bank robbery skills far surpass their navigation skills. Unable to find the BQE on their way to JFK, these three clowns end up getting mugged, harassed by the new tenants of Phyllis's apartment, involved in a mob scheme, involved with a problematic cab driver, and are all the while being chased by an old-timer police chief Rotzinger who has a score to settle. All the while, Phyllis is pregnant with Grimm's baby and is hesitant to flee the city and start a new uncertain life. It all comes to a head when the gang, the mob, and the cops all make it to the airport in a major confrontation. When Rotzinger sees the elusive mob boss Lombino on the plane, everything aligns. Lombino is the only criminal that Chief Lotzinger hadn't been able to catch, but he does do it with the help of Grimm, not realizing that he's the bank robbing mastermind that got him all into this mess. So Bill Murray plays Grimm, Geena Davis is Phyllis, Randy Quaid is Loomis. Jason Robards is so good as Chief Rotzinger. Tony Shalhoub is a cab driver who does not know any English. We have Phil Hartman as Edison, the current tenant of Phyllis's apartment. And Bob Elliott, Chris Elliott's father, of Bob and Ray, plays the guard at the bank. Stanley Tucci plays Johnny, one of the mob guys. Kurtwood Smith plays Lombino. Yeah, Kurtwood Smith, the aforementioned Kurtwood Smith.
Spoiler alert, he's Russ Crane.
Right.
That's his alias, Russ
Crane.
Nobody talks that way to Mrs. Russ Crane.
Yeah. This came out 30 years ago, so I'm not worried about spoiling it for anybody. And I kind of chose not to really talk too much about the thing that's most remembered, I think, about this movie and what's on the poster as with Bill Murray as a clown. You know, the actual bank robbery itself is just such a small component to this movie. And, you know, when I was watching it I watched it a few weeks ago, and I don't really remember the movie that well, because I think I had seen it when I was really little, but I went into it expecting it to be kind of like a Dog Day Afternoon type of situation where like the entire thing is this bank robbery, but it's like, oh no, they're out, and the rest the movie is actually about their journey.
That's Act 1. Act 1 is the bank robbery, pretty much.
It's like Act 0.75. It's, it happens pretty fast. So, I don't know. I thought that was kind of interesting that wasn't really the meat of the story.
Right. Though I think it sets up a lot right off the bat. It sets up a lot about the three characters, about Loomis, Phyllis, and Grimm, even before it's them. And the first time I saw this movie, and I was like 13, I didn't realize, I wasn't just like, oh, that's Geena Davis in a blonde wig. Yeah,
because Geena Davis and Randy Quaid are acting as just people at the bank that are hostages, but
it's a brilliant plan.
It's a good plan. It worked. It couldn't work now, just with cell phones and all the surveillance that's everywhere. I don't think because they'd be looking at cameras from like the subway and stuff like that.
This movie is very much though about what's interesting is it comes out not long after did LA Story come out after? I think LA Story might have come out the year. I
feel like it was 90. I just don't know how 90.
Just how 90 was it? Well, I remember it was like a March. I think
it was 91. February 8th, 91. Yeah.
Oh, February 8th. So, anyway, they both come out, within a range of each other. And I think that LA Story is very much about almost like the mythical version of Los Angeles. And I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. You've lived in Los Angeles. I haven't, but True. I feel like if you've lived in Los Angeles, there's certain things about LA Story that you just get.
I watched LA Story while I was living in LA. I don't know if I could speak to that perspective, having it not been that recently that I watched it, but I'm sure you're right. And actually, LA Story came up recently when Laura, my wife, and I were we were actually at the art museum where I work, and something came up that was reminiscent of LA Story, and so we were talking about that for a bit. So that movie comes up every now and then.
Doesn't Sarah Jessica Parker roller skate in a museum in that, or am I mixing things up? I could be mixing things up.
I don't know.
It's probably not important, but I feel like Quick Change is about this New York City that it's a little more realistic. LA Story has a lot of magical realism. Quick Change.
Oh yeah.
And the whole plot of like going in as a clown is fantastic, because how else do you walk through New York City with yourself disguised and not really be noticed? And it's really like, it's a disguise. It's enough of a disguise to work, and it enables him to make a quick change into his next disguise. And maybe that's I'm not suggesting this be the backstory we explore, but like, does he have some experience in, wigs and makeup and?
Yeah, it seems like he does, because his disguise as the hostage, when he comes out claiming to be one of the hostages, it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Yeah. He's got a line. I remember we used to watch this a lot in middle school. I had it taped off HBO. And I remember the one line that we would always just like repeat over and over was when he comes out and he's talking about how the clown was like sexually like harassing and threatening to sexually assault. He goes, "Hey baby, up your butt with a coconut." But there was no coconut. I saw no coconut. And he's almost doing Carl from Caddyshack there. Just
right. Yeah.
For that brief second.
He's slipping into his Bill Murray-ness.
But throughout the rest of the movie, it's almost the Bill Murray, the latter day Bill Murray, kind of the sad, contemplative Bill Murray.
The broken flowers, coffee and cigarettes. Those are just two Jim Jarmusch movies.
I was going to say, it's the Jim Jarmusch, Wes Anderson, Bill Murray.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah, where he's just like an aggravated, put upon guy who's, got to figure everything out on his own.
Yeah. So I feel like, and that's that's kind of where he is in this movie in 1990.
Right. And I mean, he directed it. So you have to wonder if he's just like, I'm more than just a clown. I am also somebody who is put upon from time to time. So and I know that he and Howard Franklin directed it, because like the director, was it Jonathan Demme who was going to do it and dropped out, and they were just like, well, we should just do it ourselves.
Well, Ron Howard was offered the job. Right. Jonathan Demme was going to do it, and it became unavailable. I am guessing, I'm trying to think what Jonathan Demme would have been working on. I'm guessing Silence of the Lambs, perhaps, which comes out, February 1991, I think opens the same weekend as LA Story.
That would make sense.
So, and yeah, it's this is in the trivia in IMDb. It says that according to Variety, that Howard Franklin and Bill Murray became so attached to the project during the development on it that they eventually decided they were the best people for the job.
Yeah. And I mean, we're talking about it today. People know this movie. People remember this movie. I'm not arguing. Yeah. It's not like people don't think of this when they think of like the great Bill Murray movies typically.
Right. It's not often one that people, I mean, I think like one of the more iconic images, like Bill Murray images, comes from The Life Aquatic, which is not, I don't know if that's one that everybody initially jumps to. I love it, and I love him in it.
Yeah, he's great.
But I mean, yeah, we've talked about Bill Murray, Groundhog Day,
yeah,
Ghostbusters,
right?
Tootsie, we've got a Tootsie reunion. Bill Murray, Geena Davis.
That's right.
It's a Tootsie reunion, yeah.
That's right. And, talking about other reunions, not that this is a reunion, but, a few years later, we have Jason Robards and Randy Quaid reuniting in The Paper, which I just watched the other day, and I was like, oh, Randy Quaid and Jason Robards again. So, just...
Great movie.
The Paper is so good.
Great movie.
And also, like, extremely relevant right now.
Oh, so relevant.
We'll do that. We'll do that one soon. We'll do that one soon.
Exciting. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've got this bank robbery, and he's got the painted on smile. It's great. They open with that shot of him on the subway, and like it's summer, and there's one of those things where it's, if you've been in New York over the summer and ridden the subway, you just know how uncomfortable it is. And if you've ever worn clown makeup, which I have, it is uncomfortable.
So, Dan, you lived in New York, and I know you also did some clown stuff. I know you did some clown stuff in Philadelphia, which we'll talk about in a bit. But
oh, yes.
Did you do any clown stuff in New York?
I did not do any clown stuff in New York City.
Okay.
I did it. It was all in New Jersey, but It was over the summer. And yeah, clown makeup is really uncomfortable in any weather.
Well, I'm sorry that I put you through that when you starred in my short silent film Funeral when I was in college.
That was different. That was art.
That was art.
That wasn't like to make a quick $50. That was art.
The definition of like college film student.
I liked it.
It was fun. I had a good time doing it. I don't care. That was ridiculous. You were Sprinkles the Clown.
Sprinkles the Clown.
Yeah.
Attending his own funeral.
Yeah,
that's
he died for your grins.
He died for your grins. I'm remembering, I have shots of it in my head right now, and I'm remembering it was like pretty creepy, but very much like the, film student who just got into French New Wave.
Oh my God. It's so funny because right now I'm actually like going through all of my DVDs and digitizing them, and just so I can just get rid of the physical media. And, a lot of the things that I acquired were around that time, the early to mid 2000s, and there's like such range because it's kind of like Police Academy 6, City Under Siege, and then there's Ed Wood, and there's like The Discreet Charm of the Bourgeoisie, and then it's just like, oh yeah, this is like a real snapshot of my life in my early 20s.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I understand completely.
Yeah. So another thing I wanted to talk about is, while we're on the subject of the clown situation, is that a year later, Bobcat Goldthwait put out Shakes the Clown, which was touted as the Citizen Kane of alcoholic clown movies. And, part of me wonders if and I think that there were a lot of times when I would maybe confuse in my head Quick Change with Shakes the Clown. Not now, but when I was younger, because they were these two movies that have very similar, posters or VHS cassette covers.
It Shakes the Clown. It's him standing with his legs spread over Julie Brown.
Julie Brown, yeah.
Not downtown Julie Brown.
No, the other
Julie Brown of Earth Girls Are Easy.
Yeah, Earth Girls Are Easy, Julie Brown. Right, but it's, just there's the clown on the cover. They came out close to around the same time, within a year of each other. And and it's I'm sure there are other people who, confuse the two of them, maybe thinking that Quick Change is the Bobcat Goldthwait one, which I have to definitely revisit, especially since Bobcat Goldthwait's career, especially directing career, has gone in such a really fascinating path. I know that also there's a lot of things about Shakes the Clown that have kind of lived on beyond that movie. The song Binky the Doormat by REM is inspired by Tom Kenny's character, a line that he says in that movie. So,
wow,
it's there's...
That's right.
And I'll tell you another extremely interesting thing about me is that even though I've got this big-time cartoon show on the air now, I'm not going to change. I'm not going to be one iota different than I ever was. And you know why I'm not going to change?
Why?
'Cause I'm an asshole! Asshole! You all hate me. You all loathe me. Make fun of my jokes, think I'm not funny. Think my balloon animals suck. You know that. Binky the Doormat. Binky the Doormat. That should be my name. Not Binky the Clown. Binky the Doormat. Everybody walks all over. I don't stick up for myself. They say the squeaky wheel gets the grease. I'm the quietest fucking wheel you've ever seen, because I don't bitch about anything. I'm a wimp. Fucking nuts, that's what I am. Insane. No, I'm not insane. I'm just different. Didn't wear my crystal today. That always makes me a little tense.
It's a little cheap movie made by somebody who just kind of has the passion and clearly has made a lot of money from doing Police Academy movies. So is experimenting with their comedy. So I definitely want to give that one another watch. But let's go back to Quick Change, because this is really a road movie. You're traveling through New York, trying to get to JFK. I don't know. It like you were saying, it definitely feels like a very realistic portrayal of 1990s New York,
but slightly surreal. Like the part with the jousting when they're in Queens, they're going to JFK. So. But yeah, the part with and the woman with the flowers for the dead,
right?
And yeah, it was the line "Good thing she isn't too symbolic."
Yeah,
but I have to say one of the sequences that I really noticed. Oh man, Jason! I never noticed, but Jason Robards has his sidekick, his right hand man who's with him always.
Right.
I forget the guy's name. At one point, it might be around the bodega sequence, or when they're actually at the bank. He's grabbing him by the hand. He's leading him by the hand, and it's so funny. But the sequence with the bodega and
where he's trying to get the change for the bus.
Well, there's the part with there's the change for the bus and the thing with the mob after they go in and impersonate the mob collection.
Yeah, so they walk into this door just to try to get away to, I don't know, steer clear from the cops, and they walk in on a mob meeting.
This ain't my dick in your back.
That's a relief. We came about the money.
What that walking corpse say?
He said they come about the money.
Ask him what money, asshole.
What money, asshole?
Incredible. They're playing games.
Yeah.
Tell him you're gonna play games on his fucking head.
I'm gonna play games on your fucking head.
You must hate this warehouse. Because it's gonna be a 3-alarm job after tomorrow.
Johnny, come here.
Come here.
What the hell are you doing? I have no idea.
I don't know. We'll ask him.
You want me to ask him? Mr. Skelton wants to know how come he don't know you.
Gee, because I'm new?
Because he's new?
Tell him Lombino didn't say nothing to me about no new bag man.
Lombino didn't say nothing.
Mr. Lombino? Huh? Mr. Lombino? Since when does a wise guy like you deserve an explanation from a giant like Mr. Lombino?
Mr. Lombino didn't say nothing to Mr. Skelton about no new
enough
bag.
already, Johnny. Don't you see me standing right here?
Yeah, all right. I'm sorry. All right.
What happened to Mario?
Mario? Somebody dared him, so we threw Earl here out of a moving car.
Same spot he done Johnny. You must love that spot.
Man is an animal. He's sick.
All right. I'll give you the money. As soon as I call Mr. Lombino, to check you out.
Fine. Actually, perfect. I can hear Mr. Lombino now. Skelton just called me to check on Chip.
Mr. Lombino, please. Skelton.
I guess Chip wasn't so hot. Guess I'll have to put that animal, Mario, back on Skelton.
No. Wait, Uncle Mike? Mr. Skelton, wait a minute. No, wait a minute. We don't want Mario to come in here, that big bald giant with the stupid sunglasses, knocking everybody around for kicks. I mean, nobody's stupid enough to do this for a few K. They gotta know that Mario's gonna come after them and pull out their livers. I mean, I think that I might be right on this, so, it's good.
6,000. Short shipment.
Yeah. Fine, Earl.
You know, when I first heard the rumors about Lombino being back in town, I said, no way. I mean, the man never leaves his haven in Nevada. but now that I see you, I know it must be true. He's come to put his house in order. And that's why the man is king. Yes. Drugs, protection, you name it. Lombino is king.
Yeah, and Bill Murray using his Bill Murray character wits to get himself out of a situation.
You mean Mr. Lombino?
Yeah. He's great. I mean, it's so great, and especially because Randy Quaid is just like a complete mess the entire time. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
It reminded me of Analyze This when Billy Crystal is sitting in the meeting for Robert De Niro at the end, like towards the climax of the movie. And
who is this guy? What the fuck is he doing here?
Who I am? Who I am? Who am I? Who am I is a question for the ages. That's one we're all searching for to find out who I am, who's in there, who wants to come out and go, hey, I'm hungry. Who I am is too deep and almost... You gotta go in deep and pull out the thing, like with that movie where the thing came out of the stomach and ate up the people on the fucking spaceship. May they rest in peace. My name is Ben Sobel Leone. Ben Sobel Leone. I'm also known as Benny the Groin, Sammy the Schnoz, Elmer the Fudd, Tubby the Tuba, and once as Miss Phyllis Levine. But that was at a party. It was years ago. I smoked at the tupep, and I had a quackalud, and then suddenly I'm in fishnets and singing show tunes. These things happen, but there's nothing to do with what I'm here with you fine gentlemen today. So I apologize. That being said, I'm also known to the people who know me the best as the fucking doctor. The second part of your question that you asked me is, why am I here? I am here representing Mr. Paul Vitti as his consigliere. Consigliere. Never correct me in public again. Do you understand that? You broke my heart, Jelly. You broke my heart. I apologize for the second interruption. As Mr. Vitti's consigliere, I am intimately involved in all aspects of the Vitti family business, and I am prepared to speak for Mr. Vitti on all matters. Bada bing, bada boom, bada boom.
Okay, doctor. Let's stop with the bullshit.
This is the second time you've mentioned Analyze This on the podcast in the past 4 episodes or so.
Really?
I want to say it was when Box Brown was on, you mentioned it.
I think he mentioned it. I don't think I brought it up, but.
Well, it has come up.
Okay. No, it just made me I wonder if Billy Crystal was a little inspired by this because I feel like the way he just kind of jumps into it is great, but I love how Bill Murray plays that scene but yeah, it's that type of character that very few people could pull off as we'll discuss.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also really just want to give a huge shout out to Jason Robards, who I feel like I was doing some reading up on Jason Robards, who is a Navy veteran, World War II veteran. And if you look at his list of credits, both on stage, screen, television, wow, this guy worked. And it's so funny because I was reading, I think on his Wikipedia page, it's most known for political dramas, it was presidential dramas. And it's not to me.
You mean just All the President's Men?
No, it was because he was Ulysses S. Grant in something. And, I think he just did a lot of Civil War type stuff that is probably not on our radar. A lot of television stuff that was historical.
But generational, our parents might think of Jason Robards more from that.
Sure.
Than from Parenthood or Magnolia.
Right. Oh, Magnolia, his last movie. Incredible.
Oh my God.
Incredible. He really went out in a fantastic way. That's Magnolia is one of my favorite movies. But it's a
hell of a movie.
Yeah, All the President's Men, a very similar role in the paper. I don't know, he's just one of the best. And big shout out to Jason Robards. And it's big shout out to Jason Robards for doing this movie, Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Dude can hang. Dude can hang.
Dude can absolutely hang. He's great. And he just he gives it his all. He always does. He always did.
And in the
pouring
synopsis,
it out for Jason Robards.
Pouring a major one out. And, I said this in the synopsis, but I don't know if it's completely true. But the whole Lombino thing, I said that it's the only person he couldn't catch in his career. He definitely has a chip on his shoulder about Lombino. I don't know if that's 100% accurate.
I think they do establish that early on.
I couldn't remember if it was 100% true or almost true.
Because I feel like he's talking to his little sidekick about retiring and it's oh yeah, this, it's kind of like catching the bank robber on his last day would make up for not catching this career, this organized crime figure that he's been pursuing his entire time.
Mm-hmm.
His entire,
and
not his entire career, but
I think that storyline is really fascinating to me. And it's so perfect that it's Jason Robards in that role too. Just love the guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then so we got Tony Shalhoub as this cab driver because Randy Quaid's car, does it fall into like a river or something like that. I feel like it.
Yeah, they're trying to follow I think they're trying to follow a map, and in my mind I was like, oh, you could totally do this where he's just following the GPS and it doesn't, leads him right into the river.
No, I think that they were parked out. No, they were parked and they were inside, I think, Geena Davis's apartment, and somehow it the brake came up.
They're parked in
the fire
in front of a
zone.
hydrant.
Because
in front of a hydrant.
And you know what?
Yeah.
I couldn't remember exactly what it was because Randy Quaid's character's car has a situation in the paper, and I didn't want to confuse the two. So I was like, I just don't remember, because in that one he's double parked and whatever. So
the car's a big problem, because that's when Randy Quaid screws it up for them in the first place. Oh, by honking the horn. Yeah, with the horn.
Yeah. So Bill Murray, as the clown, is on the phone with Jason Robards, claiming to still be inside the bank, and then Randy Quaid accidentally honks the horn, and he's like, "They're not in there. He's off somewhere."
Don't insult me. Now you get me a respectable monster truck, and don't get back to me until you do, okay?
What was that?
What was what? Don't try to change the subject. No tilt body, no hostages.
I want hostages. It's gonna take time to find a tilting hydraulic body.
Well, that's not my problem.
It was an accident.
They would have waited forever to go into that bank.
Just throw me out of the car and run me over.
I could have called them from anywhere in the world tonight just to tell them I was still in the bank.
That's a car horn.
Yeah.
So I was like, don't sound like William Devane. That's a car horn. Get me Jack Bauer.
Buy this gold. So
$10.
Yeah.
Lemonade.
Yeah, so Tony Shalhoub is the cab driver, and Tony Shalhoub, who's just he's always there, he's always great. He's on Marvelous Mrs. Maisel now, right? Is that still going? Yeah.
So, but I feel like this character was almost a Wings.
Yeah.
Wings. Yeah. But more of the kind of just generic, stereotypical, New York foreigner cab driver.
Right. Yeah. Pretty
stereotype.
much. Which, if I'm not mistaken, I believe Tony Shalhoub, he was born in America, but his ethnicity is maybe Middle Eastern somewhere. I don't know, but it's definitely I'm so aware of when people are putting on heavy accents, where I'm just like, should you be doing that? And then it's Tony Shalhoub was like, oh no, okay, you're good. And but yeah, Tony Shalhoub was really funny. It's just one of those characters that you just want to be like, no, don't do that. He's just so frustrating. Stanley Tucci as the mob guy is great. This is
he's really good.
The phase in Stanley Tucci's career where he's just playing these small time crooks. I think that in Beethoven, he's
one of the villains. He's a henchman.
Is he one of the villains with is he Oliver Platt, the other one in that? I have to look that up.
Wait, are you thinking of, you're thinking of The Imposters, which is him and Oliver Platt.
Am I? I want to say that also in Beethoven.
Ollie P was in Beethoven?
I'm looking it up. Oliver Platt and Stanley Tucci in Beethoven.
No kidding. Okay. And then they reunited for The Imposters, which is a fun little movie.
Wow. Cool. Can't believe I remembered that. So, and then you have Phil Hartman in a very non-Phil Hartman-y role.
Yes and no. It's non-Phil Hartman-y because it's one scene, but that part when they're talking about Woodstock and all those things. And when he has that moment where he's just like, I've put the gun down. It's that delivery is so Phil Hartman.
They were ripping off the TV when I came in.
Oh, I was touching it. Kill me.
Turn around.
Oh, great, Hal. For once it was going to be fun. We were going to eat on the floor, drink champagne, listen to old records.
Why are you blaming me?
We haven't even moved the bed in, and already it's the same.
Now give credit where it's due, Mrs. Edison. Hal made the commitment, didn't he? He gave up the rent-controlled place in the village.
Do you know him?
He's paying $1,500 for a one-bedroom.
$1,500? Try $2,600. You weren't paying $1,500, were you?
We were paying $1,260.
$1,260? Excuse me, I don't know you very well, but you must be crazy if you gave this place up.
Maybe we are crazy. We bought a farmhouse near Woodstock. It's rustic, kind of a fixer, but the payments are $300 a month. We just had to try. I suppose you don't believe that either, Edison. The people would go and do a thing like that.
For your information, I was at Woodstock.
I don't judge you, Hale. Really, I don't. But from Woodstock to Charles Bronson in 20 years?
I think that when I think of Phil Hartman, though, I think of like characters that are very confident, like overly confident, and, you know, have like this bravado to them, whereas this character was very like scared and timid most of the time because, you know, it's these people who think that these people are robbing them.
Yeah, it's another one of those just like his ability, I guess, to convince people, to talk people into things they don't want to do, hence the robbery.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You know, he convinces Phyllis.
Going back to Jason Robards real quick, when I was doing some research on Jason Robards, I found out that Jason Robards' great-grandmother's maiden name was Loomis, which is Randy Quaid's character's name.
Whoa.
Spooky. So I have to wonder if like that was in the book or if Jason Robards was just like, hey, can you name a character after like my great-grandmother?
Well, Randy Quaid had played a character named Loomis in The Wraith. Played Sheriff Loomis.
That's so funny. I think it was Jeff Rubin, past guest Jeff Rubin, who was telling me about The Wraith. I have not seen The Wraith.
I haven't seen it either, but
you just know that.
It's come up on recent episodes.
Okay.
Yeah. Just like Analyze This.
Yeah. So I also want to point out something that I read about. I think that it was mentioned on some NPR program back in like 2006, but the movie Inside Man, the Spike Lee joint, is considered to be potentially a remake, like a not official remake. There's no clown aspect to it, but it is all about this heist situation, and then it plays out plot wise. That's what the NPR people, I have not seen the Inside Man, I think, since 2006. So I don't remember it. But the critic for the NPR was making the argument that it could be looked at as a remake of Quick Change. You're looking at me like I'm crazy, but I'm not making up this theory.
No,
this is
you're not
real
crazy.
Critic.
Whoever at NPR that was somehow given permission to write about such things.
Before there was The Inside Man, there was a movie called Quick Change, a comedy about a bank heist that seems to go right, but then suddenly wrong. It stars Bill Murray as a bank-robbing clown who can't seem to get any respect.
I said we're closed, bozo.
I wouldn't. And that's Mr. Bozo, okay?
What the hell kind of clown are you?
The crying on the inside kind, I guess. This is a robbery. This is a robbery.
It is.
Thank you.
Geena Davis and Randy Quaid also star as Bill Murray's fumbling accomplices in the film. They're pursued by an equally fumbling NYPD, led by Jason Robards. This movie was released in 1990, and the premise, even some of the scenes, bear a striking similarity to this year's Inside Man. Joining us now to talk about the films is Weekend Edition's entertainment critic, Elvis Mitchell. Elvis, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you, Scott. And by the way, This is a gun, not a gub.
That's probably my favorite scene in my favorite Woody Allen. When Woody Allen made movies. Now that was listen, are the producers of Inside Man getting away with the fast one here? I mean, is this a remake, a homage, or just simple theft?
I think it's probably what they would call homage, and what we call in this country actionable. I don't know. It certainly takes a few notes from Quick Change, right down to the bank robbers sort of hiding amongst the hostages as the hostages are all released to the police.
It's a New York bank rob. I don't want to talk about it too much because it is somewhat recent, I guess. And if there are people who are like, oh yeah, I never saw that movie, should I watch it? Yes, you should watch it. I don't want to give anything away about it because I remember it being really good. I haven't seen it in a while. It is
14 years old. I think that, statute of limitations.
Well, let me just, there are a lot of differences. There are more differences than similarities.
Okay.
We'll just leave it at that.
All I'm saying is that it has been documented by an actual critic that they made that connection. Whether you did or not, it's here or there.
I didn't make it because it's not there.
Okay, fine. Fair enough. Yeah, I don't know. Dan, do you remember, you said that you probably saw it on HBO. Was that your first time seeing this one?
I probably rented it when it came out on VHS. Like, it definitely would have been on my radar.
It's like, Bill Murray.
Yeah.
Gotta watch it.
I mean, I watched pretty much everything that came out, unless it was not most horror movies. So I didn't see a lot of horror movies or
we weren't a big horror family.
No. And the only other erotic thrillers, I wasn't, I was like a Fatal Attraction. I think I can wait another 10 years to see that.
But why do I feel like you had, because, okay, let me paint a picture for everybody. There used to be a magazine called Premiere Magazine. Okay.
I knew this is where you're going.
Okay.
I was about to say this. I had the one sheet, not the VHS cover that's all blue, but the white with just the clown and the names.
That's not what I was going to say.
Okay.
I'm just painting a picture for our audience who doesn't know. Premiere Magazine was this magazine that came out all about movies. And the format of it was not like your typical magazine dimensions. It was wider. There was something about it that was just
fashion industry magazine.
Yeah, it was just a little bit bigger. And throughout the magazine, there were these one sheets. They pages that were just full page movie one sheet, posters essentially. And I'm sure that somewhere there's got to be a picture of your room, because it was every wall was covered with these posters from these movies ripped out of Premiere Magazine on the wall with that blue tack. I don't know if anybody remembers. I don't know if it even exists anymore.
It does.
It does?
It does.
I haven't seen it since your bedroom in the 90s. But it's...
you haven't been to a Dwayne Reed in a long time. I don't know where else you would get it.
Yeah.
Walgreens.
I haven't come
I'll
across
send you
it. Thank you. I won't use it. But it's this putty and that got all over the walls, but that's how this stuff was on there. And Dan, you're talking about how erotic thrillers weren't part of it, but I remember Sleeping with the Enemy was on your wall and
Sleeping with the Enemy is not an erotic thriller.
It's pretty much. How is it
not Basic Instinct?
Right, but I mean they're in the same genre. Sorry, I've been watching a lot of Jeopardy, so the way that he says genre.
Yes, but I saw Sleeping with the Enemy in theaters.
So the what went on the wall, was that only what you had seen or maybe wanted to see?
Okay. No, it did not go on the wall unless I had seen it.
I want to know. I don't know the rules of the wall.
No, I couldn't make a false boast. That would be...
But it doesn't have to be a boast. It could just be hey, I really like the artwork on this, which is, I don't know. What are you looking at?
I saw everything anyway. If I liked the artwork on the poster, I saw the movie.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Like,
I mean, like, I'm sure that there are some of them where if I saw the poster, I'd get like that, like a quick flash of like where it was on your wall somehow.
So, and I'm pretty sure that actually is so, and I'm trying to think of how I could give directions, but I'm pretty sure that I remember approximately where it was. I think it was like, there was a closet.
Wait, are you talking about Quick Change or Sleeping with the Enemy?
Quick change. I think that it was kind of along the top of the wall, past the closet.
Okay.
There was a closet.
Which is currently inhabited by our father's World War II books and Howard Stern books.
And all of his copies of Howard Stern books.
Yeah.
It's not that there's a lot of Howard Stern books. It's
all
just
of his copies.
many copies of the like 3 Howard Stern books. So,
boy.
Yeah, his World War II books, his Civil War books, and yeah.
If these walls could talk, they'd say,
I'm pretty sure
Quick Change.
If these walls could talk, they'd say, can you get this blue shit off of me after 30 fucking years?
Yeah, so
it's an R-rated movie today, so
yeah. So I've been marking all of these episodes as explicit just in case, because I feel like something comes up.
I do try to behave myself if we are on
they come up as explicit. It's fine. It's
okay.
fine. It's fine.
Who gives a shit?
Yeah. So Dan, is there anything else that you want to really go over with Quick Change? Am I missing anything?
No, it's just it's one of those movies that I think people of that generation, people of our generation are, I think those who saw it have an affinity for it. I don't think it's for, I feel like there's some people that would be turned off by it because it's not a typical comedy. And I remember as a kid, it wasn't my favorite comedy to watch because it had some really dark moments in it.
Yeah, it gets some flack because like there's really nobody to root for. Like you're rooting for these bank robbers, and it's
Phyllis.
like she's the only one that and like Loomis is just kind of like pathetic. And
Loomis and I haven't made an Of Mice and Men reference in a while, so Loomis and Grimm are your Lenny and George,
right? Mm-hmm.
Loomis just follows whatever. Loomis worships Grimm.
Yeah.
The relationship is, I'm curious about the relationship. Like, I want to read the book to get some more background on the relationship, because it looks like Grimm and Loomis have kind of been around each other, like grew up around each other.
Yeah, it seems like that.
Yeah. But, and then Phyllis has been in the picture for, I guess, a number of years.
Right.
So. Yeah, I'm not so interested that I want to see a whole prequel about it, but like I figure the novel's gonna give some background. So I definitely, after the last time I watched the movie, I felt like, okay, I want to read the source material. I want to check it out and see what's not in the movie or what's there, but that like you can't recognize it if you haven't seen the movie or if you haven't read the book. Yeah. So go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just saying, like, people didn't seem. It seems like the general response is like people didn't see anybody that they could really root for, even though, yes, Phyllis, but still she's part of this. And, spoiler, but at the end she shows up and she's still going to go off to, was it like Fiji or something like that?
Yeah, I think Fiji.
Yeah. So, we didn't really talk too much about Kurtwood Smith, Lombino. Just like you're perfect. He's perfect. He's perfect.
Yeah, it's great, and it's a great twist at the end.
It would, it would have been a better twist for me because when we first see him, he is in the line to get his boarding pass or whatever at the airport, and he is claiming to be Russ Crane with his wife.
Hey, clown. Get the hell back in line.
I just have one question. Is there a problem, sir?
Too many passengers, I'm afraid.
Yeah, you better be afraid. Nobody does this to Russ Crane. Nobody does this to Mrs. Russ Crane, you glorified stewardess, you! What's the matter with you? You afraid to do a man's job?
But the fact that it's Kurtwood Smith tells you there's something more to this character than just like the rude, guy at the airport.
I don't know. I guess I didn't think about that when I first saw it.
Well, yeah, I mean, because RoboCop. What else was he doing around this time?
I mean, Dead Poets Society.
Yeah,
he had a pretty significant role in that.
Yeah, but I guess if you clocked him as being an actor that you recognized, you would know that this isn't really like this Russ Crane character is not just some asshole at the airport.
Yeah.
But it is a nice twist, though, that he's on the plane. I mean, weird coincidence that he would be on the plane and that...
Well, also, if he's a major mob figure and he's just like, he's making a scene at the airport in public,
not laying low.
Like, yeah. I mean, there's still cops around the airport. Like, this is
1990, less
30
so.
years ago.
Well, yeah. So, anyway... I gotta say, when I watched it recently, and it's like, I wonder if this was a bigger part of my childhood, maybe I would have liked it more. But watching it a few weeks ago, I didn't love it. I felt like the ending wasn't, it just kind of like, I wish that it kind of went on just a few minutes longer, or like, I don't know, there was just something about it that just didn't sit right with me.
It didn't end with the three of them sitting on a beach sipping drinks out of coconut shells with a calypso song playing.
Yeah, reading the book that Danny DeVito writes at the end of Throw Mama from the Train.
Precisely.
Yeah. It wasn't their ending that I wanted more of. I feel like it was more Ratzinger's ending that I wanted more of. I don't know.
Well, they have it.
Because he is the one likable character. He is the one that you're rooting for. I mean, I guess we are living at a time right now where, we're in a very anti-police time.
Yeah, and that's also like reality. And, we're definitely not anti-Jason Robards.
No.
So, but it ends, I think that's something I see is the frustration where it ends with him realizing as the plane is taking off that was like, yeah, we have to get accommodation for this Chipowski.
Right. Yeah, that's how because what is it, Chipowski that he says his name is at the beginning or something like that? Yeah.
Or not at the beginning, at the
when
he says his name is Chip. He's Chip. He's like, I want you to call me Chip.
Right, but at the beginning of the movie, when he first tells his name, like that's how he makes the connection after the plane is like
not until the end. It's not until the end that he says Chip. He says in the beginning, he's like, you can call me Chip.
That's what I meant.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. And then it's Chipowski. So that's like the big...
I feel, isn't there like doesn't he like stumble on the name in the same way at the beginning and the end, and that's how he... really makes it's something like that.
Hey, hold it, my friend. Thanks for the assist.
No problem.
I'd like to give you a commendation. What's your name and address?
Oh, that's great. Dan.
Dan.
Chipowski. With S-K-I ending. Mm-hmm. And it's 111 Astoria Boulevard, Queens, New York. 11101.
Okay, Dan. Which are more like you?
Don't say that.
Come on, James.
Hey, it's Red Singer!
Chief, you gonna run for mayor?
Chief, is this the greatest day of your career?
Hey, who the hell called these guys?
I did, sir.
Hey, remember, we gotta commend this Chipowski. Chipowski.
Yeah, I mean, I totally get it. It's and I think that there's definitely a nostalgia factor for me in watching it. And it's also interesting watching it looking at New York circa 1990.
Sure.
And, you know, just kind of like the things that have remained constant versus, you know, what was kind of the general impression of the city then. So, and also as I've been learning more about organized crime in New York in the 70s and 80s, it's, you know, like some of that stuff made a little bit more sense.
Okay.
Me. Yeah.
I mean, what about it made more sense?
I think the randomness of, they just opened this door and there's and the fact that like, so that is kind of plausible. That would have, that actually, I mean, and it's cartoonish. It's a little cartoonish. It's a little surreal. I feel like, and this is where I see the flaw in it. Like it's a fun movie. I'll watch it again. But I think part of the flaw is like there's an unevenness to it.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And the tone of it, it's very uneven, where the beginning of the movie is very much, and I kind of think this is intentional, but don't know why. But the beginning of the movie is very much like Hollywood. This is a Bill Murray summer comedy where he's playing this clown who robs a bank, and we have all this interplay, and it's shot very much in that fashion, and the music behind it is very much like dun 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 dun. It's more in a bank robber today.
It's more heisty. And then it takes a lot of really slower, weirder turns throughout the movie.
And it becomes After Hours, which is another movie I've watched somewhat recently. Martin Scorsese's After Hours, where Griffin Dunn just kind of gets, you know, sucked into the, you know, seedy nightlife of East Village, New York, in the mid 80s. So, and it becomes, you know, whereas for him, it's just like, he's just kind of wants to get home to wherever he feels safe in his comfort zone, wherever he lives in the movie. And for Bill Murray, it's just like New York is this hell that he can't escape. His name is Grim.
Yeah.
Like, so I'm wondering if there's supposed to be some more meaning to this, if it's one of those like, hey, like quick change. We're going to make a quick change in the movie. You're going to go into this movie and you're just going to be like, oh, this is a fun
romp,
summer romp, and then next thing you know there's the jousting scene. And it's like, what is happening here, and why is it happening?
I think that what's happening and why it's happening is you have two people who don't have much directing experience, if any at all. I don't know if Howard Franklin really did much before this, and I know he didn't do too much after this. I know they did Larger Than Life together, but...
Yeah, and he did The Public Eye with Joe Pesci.
When was that?
That was 92.
Yeah, so that's after this. Yeah, so it's like, I don't know, I feel like maybe under the direction of somebody with more experience, you would have had a more cohesive tone. But, I mean, still, this movie is remembered fondly, and people watch it for nostalgia factor and enjoy it that way. But, you know, I don't know. Maybe it could have been something better, but we'll never know. Or will we? And that's what we're going to talk about now.
Or will we? Oh, why? What? So you're not as much of a fan of the original. Is there anything that you would do to kind of shake it up?
As we know, Grimm is now the new criminal that Ratzinger has never caught, to our knowledge. So what I'm thinking is we have either the child or grandchild of Ratzinger who is like making it their mission to like finish their father or grandfather's like unfinished business and track down Grimm and serve justice in whatever form that is. I don't know.
So does Bill Murray end up like I don't know, trying to think of how old Bill Murray is right now, but like a 70-year-old.
Like 70?
Is Bill Murray, he's going to be like a 70-year-old fugitive? And
yeah, and I mean, maybe at the end of it, it's kind of just like, well, you got me. Now what? I'm an old man. Yeah. Like, I haven't done anything. I haven't broken the law since then. I blew through that $1 million years ago. So, like, what do you want from me? And it's, maybe just the satisfaction of finally getting to him, figuring out where he is.
Kind of have the roles reversed where it's the younger cop maybe looking to make a name for himself.
Maybe he's not a cop.
Maybe he's not a cop.
Maybe he's a journalist. Maybe, who knows? He could be anything.
Be a florist.
He could be unemployed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe he's unemployed and he's like, oh, what else am I going to do right now?
Maybe he's a podcaster doing a series about tracking down this long-lost criminal who robbed this bank dressed as a clown in 1990.
It'd be great if his podcast series, each episode was about a different fictional criminal that got away at the end.
Fictional criminal that got away.
Well, yeah, no, but I mean, in this universe, it would be real. But I'm drawing blanks on criminals that have gotten away outside of Grimm. So,
well, it's like a DB Cooper,
DB Cooper, yeah,
mm-hmm.
DB Sweeney,
sure, okay.
I don't know. I'm playing word association. I'm fried.
Well, Dan, what would you do with this one?
Okay, I was trying to think about what's going to work here, and I thought, well, you know what? Why not make a remake? And this is, I really wanted to read the book, and I wish that I'd had time, because I think that's always a good place to go, is to go back to the source material and see maybe what's there that didn't make it into the movie. Was the jousting
scene in there? Like, yeah.
I want to know, about the jousting. No, it's a whole movie about that leads up to the jousting scene. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like a Rogue One. And yeah. No, I thought, why not do a remake? And you could set it in New York. I think you could also potentially set it in other cities, but I would actually make the remake in the 70s or maybe the early 80s, and like at a time when it's like really gritty in New York. And I just kind of threw like the first people that popped into my head for the roles as Grimm, Sam Rockwell, as Loomis, Chris O'Dowd.
Okay.
And as Phyllis, Kerry Washington.
Oh, okay.
Popped into my head. I was like, who would be really good in that role that wouldn't be just like doing the Geena Davis thing, but would also bring like that, like that Geena Davis, like Geena Davis as, even in these parts where she's like the quote unquote romantic lead, there's still this, I don't know, like this power that she brings.
She's for
roles.
Sure a presence.
Yeah. So
you know who would be a good Ratzinger? And I don't know if you could do this so much. Oh, who are you thinking? Because
you know what? It's I don't know. De Niro popped into my head. I feel like he's done the role a million times, so maybe not De Niro. Ed O'Neill is another one that I would love to see have another big screen movie.
Okay. Role. What if, and I don't know if this could work as much in the 70s. It would definitely mean something different, but like, what about like Jamie Lee Curtis? Because
Jamie Lee Curtis,
I'm thinking about her like performance in like Knives Out, and it's just like, she's so good. And, she can be a real like badass ball buster.
So Jamie Lee Curtis as Ratzinger. Yeah. Yes. I mean, like if you look in the context of like women in power, in positions of power in the NYPD, it might not work in the 70s, but in general, casting for that character. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, and it's making me think actually of, is it Mercedes Rule in The Warriors?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's the undercover cop.
She's the undercover cop where it's like, that's what the female cops would be doing around that time. It's,
Yeah.
less being the chief.
Yeah, more being the decoy hooker.
Right.
But yeah, that's kind of, that's what I was thinking.
Well,
I didn't really have
or the chief could be Mercedes Rule, getting her comeuppance. She was just in, what was the movie that she was just in? Hustlers?
Oh, I didn't see it. Was she in that?
Hustlers, yeah. She plays Mama.
Okay. Terrific.
I'm making all these pulls tonight. What's in this wine I'm drinking?
Yeah, I don't.
Grapes?
IMDb wine. It's just, grapes.
Are there grapes in this wine?
And I was thinking, I was like, I don't know, just throwing around some directors, and like Ryan Coogler popped into my head.
Ryan Coogler's great.
It's like it would be something a little different for Ryan Coogler. So yeah, if anyone has any please, if you have your casting preferences, if your ideal Ratzinger is, I don't know, Danny DeVito,
sure,
shoot us an email at ruinedchildhoodspod@gmail.com. And
yeah,
I feel like Danny DeVito, you throw him in there, and
yeah, we're on Twitter at ruined_pod. We're on Instagram, ruined childhoods pod. What's up? What are you ing?
Well, no, because I was thinking of our next movie that we're going to be talking about, and then I thought, is Mr. Harvey Keitel too old to be a Ratzinger? Probably, but Harvey Keitel, who is on the other side of the law in the movie we'll be talking about in our next episode. Well, one of the movies we'll be talking about.
Right.
Sister Act.
Sister Act.
We'll be talking about Sister Act. We'll be talking about Sister Act 2, Back in the Habit.
Back in the Habit. I watched it last night. I am so excited.
Watched the OG the other night, and we're going to watch...
They're both on Disney Plus. If you want to check them out and follow along on the next episode, send us your thoughts. Sister Act, and if we can coordinate it, we may have a little special guest appearance, not for the whole show, but just for a little bit.
Ah, yes.
And by appearance, I mean auditory appearance.
We may get to hear from someone who had some firsthand experience on the set of Sister Act.
Yes. Oh boy.
Yes.
Oh boy.
So,
oh boy. Well,
who knows? It could be anybody.
Well, Dan, unlike Grimm, Phyllis, and Loomis, I wish you a good journey.
And a good journey to you all.
I was walking on the ground, I didn't make a sound. Then I turned around and I saw a clown. Had a frown, stood on a mound, started barking like a hound.